What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, Octagon Jordan. I want to discuss the recent updates for UFC 303 from Ariel Helwani, a couple other tidbits that we're getting. There seems to be a lot of pessimistic opinions out there now about the main event with Conor McGregor, the Money Mac, Mystic Mac, against Michael Chandler. I know I put out a video earlier last week about it potentially being contract negotiations. It's looking more and more like an injury to Conor McGregor that they can't quite figure out the severity of or how to treat or if he can work around it. Obviously, we know a lot of fighters go into fights injured, like Dustin Poirier's ribs, Suga Sean O'Malley's ribs, TJ Dillashaw's shoulder. So they're trying to figure it out. But as the time goes on, people are getting more and more pessimistic about this. And I'm seeing a couple, hints online. Jiri Prochazka is saying that he signed a bout agreement. Well, if you look at the UFC calendar, where does he fit into everything? 303 is already booked. 304 has its main event. 305 is in the Sphere. 306 is way, way far off. It's not going to be on a fight night. Sugar Sean O'Malley's tweeting some weird stuff. So I kind of want to speculate on what might be happening, and also if the main event does get canceled, what we might see as the main event for International Fight Week. This is a massive card for the UFC. It's International Fight Week. It's one of their biggest cards. It's right up there with, Madison Square Garden, Abu Dhabi. I would say those are their biggest cards. They always have a big card in March, Las Vegas, big March card. But yeah, International Fight Week, Abu Dhabi in October, MSG in November. It's one of their biggest, most massive cards. So if Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler is off, they got to find a suitable replacement. It's similar to John Jones, Stipe Miocic. When that fell off, it was replaced with Tom Aspinall, Sergey Pavlovich. Charles Oliveira, Islam Makhachev. When that got off, they replaced him with Volkanovski. So when these big fights fall off, there's big fights to replace it. So let's take a look. This is the tweet right here from Ariel Helwani. Like I said, it's not looking good. There's more feelers being sent out. I don't know why Ariel Helwani's being so vague with this. He's supposed to be a reporter in independent MMA media outside of Dana White's thumb and Dana White's control, yet he's being so vague, so wishy-washy, breadcrumbs-like about this whole situation. I'm not sure why he's going to go spew the Brock Lesnar news, the news about UFC trying to book Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira too, all this different news that he breaks, yet he's being so, tippy-toed, walking on glass, walking on eggshells here when it's talking about UFC 303. I don't know what's happening with Ariel. I don't know why he's being so vague. He's not telling us the issue with Conor McGregor. He's not telling us who the feelers are that are being sent out. They're not telling us the plan with Michael Chandler. He's not telling us anything. He's reporting nothing. So as far as real journalism, Ariel, you're fucking dropping the ball, bro, and you're disappointing me. Okay? You're not a real journalist if you're being this vague. I don't care if the sources say off the record. Why the fuck are they sources then? Just for you to find out information? Doesn't really work that way. So anyway, it's looking worse and worse for this fight happening. If I'm Michael Chandler, I'm shitting my fucking pants. He went on the Pivot podcast. MMA Joey just broke that entire thing down. If you want to go watch MMA Joey needs a haircut, needs to groom his beard. The guy definitely works from home. MMA Joey, I love you. I'm sorry, but bro, get it together. What are you doing? So let's pretend like this fight is off, which it's looking more and more as the days goes on that Conor McGregor is not going to fight on this date, unfortunately. Let's see. This is a recent interview with Jiri Prochazka in the Czech Republic. It's in a different language, but there's subtitles. And they talk about how Jiri Prochazka has recently signed a bout agreement. Now, Jiri Prochazka is saying that the UFC is being a little weird with announcing it. He says, it's not typical UFC. I don't know what my promotion's doing. I guess in the past when Jiri signs a fight, they pretty much announce it. So Yuri's a little bit confused why they're not announcing it. Could be because they're trying to work out other issues. But let's break down what Yuri's saying here. Let me make sure everything's working properly. Okay, it is. Let's fucking go. Let's see what's going on with Jiri Prochazka.
Rád bych taky oznámil, že jsem něco...
I would like to announce that I have signed something, but we will have to wait. So he has a signed contract, and we know it's for the light heavyweight championship. There's been a lot of reports out there that Pereira Jiri is signed. It's happening. Look up anybody and anyone who's in the MMA community has reported Jiri and Alex is signed. MMA Guru, Ariel Helwani, MMA Junkie. So we know that's the fight.
Co podepsal, ale ještě si budeme muset počkat, protože zase moje organizace trošku...
But my organization is a bit late with it, which means that they don't typically do this to Jiri because he's saying this is late. Normally, he signs and it gets released, but this is late. Why is it late?
S tím prodlí, tak já doufám, že za pár dní už to budeme vědět a bude to venku a jdeme pro to.
Můžu spekulovat?
Hele, já...
All right, so this announcer wants to speculate. Jiri is very strict. He was told very strict rules that he cannot discuss the agreement. But let's see what this interviewer speculates.
Jsem v tomhletom striktní, trošku...
Tak ty nesmíš nic říct a já budu spekulovat.
Spekuluji.
Takže, dámy a pánové, Jiří Procházka bude podle mé...
All right, so this guy's speculating that he is the injury replacement for UFC 303. Not a bad speculation, good sir. Good sir.
mého náhradou na turnaji 303
Look at Jiri. He's like, you fucking dirty bastard.
UFC za zraněného Conora McGregora v titulovém zápase s Pereirou, hlavní zápas. A Jirka nemůže nic říct, ty vole.
Hezká spekulace.
Nice speculation, nice speculation. So that's Jiri either giving that face of, you motherfucker. Or he's just happy that this guy suggested that to give him that honor of being the main event for International Fight Week, replacing Conor McGregor, such a big star, that he's just smiling like, oh man, that would be sick. That's crazy. That's a crazy guess if that actually happened. It's one of those two things. But let's look. This thing's smoking up, sorry. Let's look at the calendar. So it's Jiri versus Poatan for the belt. Let's look at the UFC calendar. Hold up. All right, so we got Fight Night. He's not fighting there. Whitaker Chimaev. UFC 303. Weak card. Jamal Hill, light heavyweights, already in the co-main event. You know, possible. Fight Night, nope. Fight Night, nope. UFC 304 in the UK. Already booked main event. Already booked co-main event. Yuri's not going to fight on that card. Yuri's not going to be on any fight nights. We know that. And, of course, it stops right there. Is this going to work? This shit ain't going to work. Sorry, everybody. Stick with me here. So, we got 304. Then we got Sanhagen versus Umar. Then we have UFC 305 August 17th in Perth, Australia. Already rumored that Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis are going to fight in the main event. Not only rumored, it's been pretty much confirmed by Dan Hooker. Israel Adesanya just put out some information. Dricus du Plessis doing interviews, so that fight's going to be announced soon. Next pay-per-view, we got UFC 306 at the Sphere, the Sphere, Las Vegas, Nevada, September 14th. Is that possible? That's 3 months out. That's a 12-week training camp. Why would they have Jiri fighting at the Sphere? I guess Poatan could be main event of the Sphere. It's no longer going to be Mexico Independence Day. It's just going to be a regular pay-per-view at the Sphere. So maybe that's plausible. I don't know why they would be waiting to announce that fight. Maybe they're waiting on Alex Pereira's, green light, make sure his broken toes are all right. So that's possible, I guess, but 12-week training camp, that's far. Kind of seems like a weird fight to main event the Sphere, a rematch. You think such a big pay-per-view, the Sphere, they might want something a little bit bigger, something fresh, maybe a big money matchup, maybe somebody returning, maybe a John Jones, maybe a Conor McGregor once he's healthy. Conor McGregor's already talked about fighting at the Sphere, so if Conor McGregor is injured, that could be a good date for him to come back, especially if it's a minor injury. And then, we got Paris. He's obviously not fighting there. And then we got Abu Dhabi. He's not going to fight there. So the only real option is the Sphere. But, again, I just don't think that's plausible. So interesting. Very, very interesting. I think that's a breadcrumb. And let's look at the rest of the champions who could replace Conor McGregor. Now, are they just going to replace Conor McGregor and keep Michael Chandler in the main event? Highly doubtful. Michael Chandler's 2-3 in the UFC. He's ranked 6th in the lightweight division currently. They're not going to have him headline in a non-title bout at International Fight Week unless it's against Conor McGregor. It's not going to happen. One second. Now, what I would think would happen is they're going to move Michael Chandler down to the co-main event. They're going to keep him on the card. Chandler's hasn't fought in 2 years. He's in a training camp. He's healthy. They're keeping him on the card. He needs money. This guy needs money. He needs to fight desperately. He's probably going fucking stir crazy. Selling tequila now. Of all people, Michael Chandler selling tequila. It's craziness. So who could he fight? Fiziev still hurt. He's not going to fight Holloway. He's not going to fight Dariush. He's not going to fight Dustin Poirier, who is basically retired. Justin Gaethje still needs to recover. Charles Oliveira could be an option. He's healthy. He did not get hurt in his last fight. He's ranked second. Their first fight was fucking bonkers. Awesome fight. Amazing fight. One of my favorite fights of all time. Action-packed. Great stylistic matchup. I could actually maybe see that headline, to be honest. Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler too. I could see that as a headliner. That's an option, but Oliveira doesn't typically take short notice fights. He turned down the championship fight with Islam Makhachev for UFC 295. They just showed that in the UFC show on Roku channel, so he turned that down. Oliveira likes a good training camp. He likes to prepare. Arman Tsarukyan, he's not going to fight Chandler. He's next for the belt. So the only real option is Charles Oliveira or Mateusz Gamrot. Gamrot would take that fight in a second, for sure. It's a great matchup for him. He's younger. It's stylistically two wrestlers. He could definitely take Chandler down. Chandler has way worse cardio than Gamrot, so Gamrot or Oliveira. But who's going to replace the fight? So we already talked about Jiri Prochazka. They're not going to have Alexandre Pantoja main event International Fight Week. It's just not going to happen. Ilia Topuria, he wants to fight in Spain. He's not going to take a short notice fight. He's defending his belt. Suga Sean could be an option. Suga Sean's healthy. He took basically no damage against Marlon Chito Vera, and he just tweeted this. This was about an hour ago. He just tweets, interesting. Interesting. The same day that Ariel tweets about feelers. Feelers. You gotta feel me. You little rat of a ding. Yeah, you little fucking goof of a ding. So Ariel tweets about feelers. Suga Sean tweets out interesting, which is obviously meant to be pretty vague, stir up the fans. The fans are already commenting. Is this about 303 replacement fight? Is this about UFC 303? You're on the 303 card now. So fans are speculating. This was meant to be speculative. Obviously, that's why he didn't elaborate on this tweet. But who knows what that means. Could he be an option? Yeah, he definitely could be an option. Ilya's not going to fight. Islam just fought. Leon Edwards is booked. Dreykus is booked. Alex Pereira, Jiri Prochazka, again, could be an option. I don't know the status of Alex Pereira's toes. That little fucking biatch. Just kidding. He's a beast, but I don't like him. Let's go, Izzy. But yeah, it's an option. We'll see. I don't know. John Jones ain't going to fight. Tom Aspinall's booked. So, yeah, it comes down to Suga Sean, and it comes down to Jiri Prochazka. But it's going to be interesting. For right now, if I had to bet my life on it, gun to my head, I think that fight is not going to happen. The Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler fight, I just believe it's not going to happen. I think the UFC's been too quiet about it. Ariel's being too weird about it. There was a little optimism last week. I made my video about contract negotiations. I was pretty confident that this fight was still going to happen. Even earlier in this week, we were getting updates from Ariel that, he was thinking it's still going to happen. The UFC re-released Conor McGregor's fights. They were promoting the main event on this week's past fight night. Cannonier and Imavov, they were promoting the UFC 303. I've been seeing Conor McGregor videos. He put out the sparring. So I was pretty optimistic, but the updates we've been getting, the tidbits from Suga Sean O'Malley tweeting interesting. Right here, the weird interview with Jiri Prochazka that he has a signed bout, but UFC's being weird and not announcing it, and they're being really strict, and he can't say anything. It's just all adding up to nothing good. Nothing good if you're a Conor McGregor fan. So, yeah, kind of sucks, but hey, we'll still have a good card. If McGregor is off the card, I'm sure Chandler will stay on the card. He'll probably just be a regular fight on the main card against Gamrot or Oliveira, and then we'll get a new main event. So it'll still be a stacked card, but yeah, it's going to be a letdown. We'll see. If I had to guess, I would say Suga Sean O'Malley versus... mean, most likely, Mirab. But, yeah, I mean, I could see them throwing in Figueiredo. He's a former champion. I could see him throwing in Aldo, big name versus Suga Sean. Aldo coming off a win, was healthy in his fight. Yeah, maybe we see Jose Aldo, Suga Sean, International Fight Week. You heard it here first. Octagon Jordan. Y le lo pese everything.